G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of Reddit Relationship Advice. I do hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you do, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. And if you really like the episode, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you know when every single upload happens. With that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie. Let's get right into today's episode. Thanks. Posted by user PaleAd3608, titled, I listened to my brother, and I shouldn't have. I met my ex-wife Kelly when we were in college, when she asked me for some notes one day. We had been sitting next to each other for weeks without a word until then. We started dating and got serious pretty quickly, which upset my younger brother Robert. Robert was about 16 when I started dating Kelly, and you could tell that he had a bad crush. She was always nice and took it in stride. After Robert left home and got into college, I let him move in with us. Kelly and I had been together about 3 years, living together for 2. We all had a good relationship. Kelly started complaining that things were misplaced soon. One of her earrings would disappear, her panties, sometimes it was socks. She was under a ton of stress, changing medications, so we both chalked it up to her ADHD giving her an issue, until one day I caught my brother with a pair of her missing panties. We found everything he stole. We kick him out, and he goes to live with my parents again and begs for forgiveness and decides to go to therapy. It takes about 5 years, but we all decide that it was water under the bridge, Kelly included. Robert had a hard life growing up. He said that it was all acting out. Late 2022, I received an anonymous email that Kelly was cheating on me. He knew dates that she was out of town, names of co-workers, and everything. They gave me no photographs, but knew enough details that I was sure they were telling the truth. Kelly fought me on it, denied it, begged for marriage counseling, but cheating is a solid deal breaker for me. Robert came to stay with me as my emotional support while Kelly was there. Kelly had asked me to get him to leave multiple times, stating that he was watching her and making her feel uncomfortable, but all I said were things that I'd rather not repeat about her not being trustworthy. The day she left was last April. She said to me that it was going to turn out to be my perverted brother, and that if it is, she hopes that I feel every ounce of pain that I just put her through. My brother has apparently been racked with guilt and confessed last weekend. He told me in front of our parents. I couldn't say anything. I just walked out and went home. I turned my personal phone off, and I've just been walking in a daze. I go to work, come home, I watch TV, and I go to bed. I can't tell you what I've eaten for the past week, or what I've watched. My dad came by to talk to me tonight, and he wants me to talk to my brother, tell him that it's going to be okay, and that we can work through it. I turned on my personal phone for the first time to see hundreds of texts from my brother. I just want to reach out to Kelly and beg for forgiveness and ask her if we can start over. In the comments, Lush Flower says, not to kick you when you're down, but your soon-to-be ex-wife warned you. And it sounds like your parents support him still, even though he's blown up your relationship twice and terrorized your wife for years. You all made choices, and now you're gonna have to live with them. You should tell her that she was right, so she can have validation, but don't expect understanding, forgiveness, or reconciliation. She's better off away from you and your toxic family, especially that psycho stalker brother of yours. You should have trusted and listened to Kelly. She's better off, and you should not bother her. Well, you'd best go powder your poor brother's ass, make him feel better, and it's gonna be okay, and keep feeling sad and in a daze. You had already caught him with her panties and other stolen items. Why you wouldn't believe her the second time is beyond me. Leave Kelly alone. She doesn't need anyone's lame apologies. It only took you 30 minutes to throw away what you had, and a year for your brother to admit what he did. Your parents raised a predator. Literally, they said that it's okay to be a predator. Mummy and Daddy still love you, even if you violate and stalk women and destroy their lives. And leave Kelly the F alone. Your piece of crap brother has done enough. If you ever loved her, never put her anywhere near your family again, and that includes you. Yep, I pretty much fully agree with everything the comments have said here, OP. You have done way too much damage in this situation. I think you'd only be putting yourself and her through hell if you were to reach out and try to mend things, because it's incredible that this anonymous email can just provide no receipts, no evidence to prove that the cheating allegations were true. Just, source? Trust me, bro. And you're like, sounds good enough to me. You say jump, I say how high. I think your ex-wife deserves her peace, and you deserve to sit this one out and think about what you've done. If this were Am I the Arsehole, I'd say that you're the arsehole for this one, mate. Grow up. And now, onto the update, titled, I contacted my ex-wife. So I vented on Reddit about finding out that my brother faked that my wife had an affair on a business trip. I've been in a daze since I found out. I kept reading that everyone said leave Kelly alone, but I sent her an email to where we had been communicating about little things that popped up, and then I went to bed. I apologized, told her that I know that I can't mend things, but that she was right, and that Robert was out of my life, and probably my parents too. I didn't expect an email back, but I received one, and it was massive. It was filled with a lot of personal things that I don't want to repeat. She said she understood the desire to listen to that email, but that she wasn't even able to defend herself, that I just gave her time to get out and then immediately moved Robert into our home, where she watched him intentionally keep us from communicating as she was forced to leave. She said she would have done anything, let me talk to her co-workers, check her geo-tracking, but Robert kept a permanent buffer and I allowed it, belittling and mocking her along with him whenever she attempted to talk to me. She thanked me for the closure on this chapter of her life, and she wished me the best, but she asked me not to contact her again, ever. After the year and 3 months she said she endured, she isn't the same woman that I knew. She asked me to set the record straight with any former mutual acquaintances, but she honestly never wants to hear from any of them either, and to tell them so. She told me that I poisoned that well when I accused her of what I did, and it was the most bitter and isolating experience she has ever dealt with, and that she genuinely feels nothing for anyone in her former life, including me. She also told me cutting out Robert is a great idea, but don't cut them off trying to get her back, or even in her good graces, because she's moving overseas on a fiancé visa to try things out with her new fiancé. She said they've only been dating for 8 months, but she's never felt this way about anyone in her life, and that she thinks he might be her soulmate. She told me to learn from my mistakes with her, and to find someone to love more than I loved her. It crushed me to see the word soulmate. She used to tell me all the time that she thought I was her soulmate. I called my dad yesterday morning after reading the email, and I told him that I'm not going to comfort Robert. He ended my marriage through lies, made me a liar to all of my friends, and isolated and hurt one of the most loving, loyal people on the planet who tried so many times to help him. My relationship with Robert is over. I told him that if he has a problem with that, my relationship with him is over too. My dad told me he understood truly how bad it was once I broke it down that way. I'm going to put in a transfer request at work tomorrow. I live on the West Coast. Maybe I'll head to the East Coast. I'm going to get a change in scenery, a therapist, and figure myself out. In the comments, StarryDust4444 says, I'm sure you're feeling pretty down about this response, but it sounds to me like she got her life together after you pulled the rug right out from under her and is on the right path. I'm happy for her, and am glad that she found someone who will treat her with the respect that she deserves. You, however, need to do some serious soul-searching and ask yourself why you were so quick to believe these lies. I'm sure some simple replies to the email asking for additional details would have caused the whole scheme to fall apart, and why you didn't respect your own wife enough to listen to her. You've got a lot of work to do on yourself before you even think of embarking on another relationship. All of this, plus I hope that he has the decency to do just what she asked for. He tells every member of his family and all his friends that it was a lie concocted by his brother, and that he, OP, was an idiot for believing his brother over his wife. There are two people at fault here, and that's OP and his brother, and their friends and family should know that. I'm glad she found her soulmate. I hope that she can heal from the pain that you put her through. The saddest part is that you would have still thought she had cheated had your psycho brother not confessed. You never believed her word or gave her a chance to defend herself. You dragged her name through the mud, and she was living in isolation while her community believed her to be a trash person. You were happy in burning down her world, and this is part of your guilt. It's not her responsibility to help you assuage your guilt and conscience. She was kind enough to give you closure, even though you didn't deserve any of it. Your life will probably suck for a while, and karma coming back to receive its due is always a possibility. For now, try to work on what led to this. If you find yourself in a future relationship, tread with caution and work on communication and genuine trust. I'm glad that your ex is happy. She deserves to be loved, cherished, and given her place as a partner. That includes safety and security, which you failed to provide. Good luck, OP. I'm happy that Kelly found someone who was safe for her. I couldn't imagine having your partner turn on you like that with someone who terrorized you. OP should have immediately started questioning his brother the moment that Kelly brought it up. The fact he was so blinded when she pointed it out kinda shows how he really felt about her. I hope the new guy is safe. Leaving the country on a fiancé visa for someone you haven't known long isn't super safe. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if she lied about the fiancé. Given that she called him her soulmate, which is something she had previously called OP, I think she made that part up to keep OP from thinking he had a chance of getting her back, and maybe to twist the knife a little. Quote, "It crushed me to see the words soulmates. She used to tell me all the time that she thought I was her soulmate. I wish that people like this would have the clarity and introspection to be crushed by the realization that their shitty actions were so impactful so as to have this tremendous effect on their partner. They didn't move on or change in isolation, but rather as a direct effect of what you did. Even beyond the cheating allegation, he essentially put her through abuse and kept her within the sphere of her abuser for years. The girl is better off without all of them in her life." Exactly. Example, I had an abusive ex, and I left him while I still felt love for him because I knew leaving him was the right thing to do. He was so shitty in just the single month after I left him that he killed the remaining love that I had left. And in a sense, that was definitely for the best because it helped me move on. But goddamn, they really don't understand that. Dude, how do you expect someone to still love you no matter how you treat them? They genuinely believe they ought to be forgiven for literally any pain they cause, and that there's always a way back, that their actions never have the power to destroy affection. That's not how it works, bud. I guess in this situation, good riddance that she's moving on with her life. Whether the fiancé in the other country is real or not, the one that brought it up really has me questioning that now, but for future reference, I will remember that that is a great out to get someone off your case, being like, oh, I have found my soulmate. Now you have no reason to come after me. Thank God, leave me alone. But as we see time and time again in these stories, some people are just insane in the membrane and do not care. You can say anything you want to them and they'll still be like, so we're getting back together, right? I know you're married and have 2 kids now, but like, come on, it wasn't that bad that I abused you. I genuinely believe that there are people that delusional out there that think, oh, one single situation has changed. Oh yes, I got a confession from my brother that he was the maker of all this evil all along. This changes everything. Now I can go back to the life that I had before. I'm gonna forget all the bridges that I burned along the way. How people can live in such delusional states like that, I will never understand. But it gives us good content, and I'm here for it. Our next post is by user ComparisonAdept9322, titled, Am I the asshole here for not allowing my in-laws to see my daughter after they gave her quote-unquote medication? I know how the title sounds, but please bear with me. Throw away for obvious reasons. I, 24 male, and my wife, 24, recently had our daughter in July. She is the best thing to ever happen to my wife and I, and we couldn't be more thrilled to have our little bundle of joy. She recently got sick while staying with her grandparents, my in-laws, while my wife and I took a trip for work. For context, my in-laws are really big into LifeWave/X-39. It's some patch that supposedly helps regrow stem cells by reflecting light rays back into your body, allowing your body to produce more stem cells to fight off diseases and sicknesses. I'ma stop you right there. Elon Musk's goddamn Neuralink sounds more reliable than that, and I'm not putting that thing in my head. My skin is already crawling. If you ask me, it sounds like snake oil, and my wife agrees, calling it a pyramid scheme. The only way to get said patches is by spending well over $1,000, and then you're tasked with selling the patches yourself. It's essentially some multi-level marketing product, where the more patches you sell, the more money that you make. Falling right in line with my wife's comparison to a pyramid scheme, but MLMs are somehow legal. Legal. Eagle. Illuminati. It's all making sense now. Now, I've tried doing research on X39, and the only comments I've seen praise said product are brand new accounts never used before or after, or their entire profile is dedicated to shilling out for LifeWave and X39. In my own research, they appeared to just be overpriced stickers. They contain no medication, no special UV rays or anything of the sort. They're literally just an overpriced sticker with an air bubble. But my wife and I have made it very clear that we wanted no part in X39, nor did we want our daughter to have it. Even if it's fake, we wanted no part in it, and on the off chance that it did do something, I didn't want our daughter to be used as their lab rat or guinea pig. Now, before we left our daughter with my in-laws, we provided them with some infant medication, just in case she got sick. Can never be too safe, you know? Well, we returned home from the work trip early because our daughter wasn't getting any better, so we picked her up and went home. We were going to give her a bath, and in the process of taking off her jacket, we found an X39 patch on her arm. Upon finding it, we immediately called her parents and demanded to know why she had a patch on her. Her parents tried to say that it's safe for the baby. We even ordered the ones for ages 7 and under, and that it's practically medication. Their words. Which still didn't answer our question. So my wife checked the go bag, and the Motrin we gave them was, while it was used, not used very much at all. Her parents tried claiming that someone else in their group, or whatever, gave it to their son and they got better in a week. The point is, we didn't buy it, nor did we care. We've made it abundantly clear that we wanted nothing to do with X39, and we didn't want our daughter to be a part of it. They failed to listen. My wife was on the phone with them for over an hour, and while I don't know the exact length that the conversation went to, I know that it at least ended with her screaming, "Going to see my effing daughter again, and if you attempt to come to my house, we will call the police," before hanging up. That was 3 days ago now, and we've had several missed calls from family members, her parents, her siblings, and even family friends all saying that we overreacted and that they were just trying to help. Maybe we did overreact, but we wanted nothing to do with that, and despite making it clear, they went against our wishes and did it anyways. And instead of giving my daughter actual medication, they tried to give her some placebo patch. Her parents tried claiming that we're stopping them from seeing their only grandchild over something so small, but we didn't want to hear it. Am I the asshole? In the comments, Linda Pandrick says, "I kinda think that you're the asshole here for leaving your sick baby to go out of town." And OP says, "We didn't leave a sick baby to go out of town. We left her with her grandparents while she was fine. We only packed Motrin because, as I stated in my post, you can never be too careful. She got sick while we were out of town, not before." You say that like it's snake oil, like it's just as bad as the X39. Was it Advil and cough syrup, or just a generic bottle that you wrote infant medication on? You expect us to believe that you gave them medication just in case she got sick, and then she immediately got sick? Come on, this sounds like total BS. OP says, Her grandparents don't exactly have children medication lying around. We packed her Motrin, which I quite literally stated later in the post had you read it, not some generic bottle or snake oil, and just as bad, nor do they have the ability to really go anywhere. They live a good 30 to 40 minutes outside of any nearby town. The drive to and from her parents is a grand whole hour drive from where we live. And my wife and I quite literally work with sick people all the time. No, I'm not a doctor, nor do we have medical expertise, so my wife and I contracting something is usually pretty high. So we pack Motrin, or whatever the store brand is that we'll buy, every time we left her with her grandparents for more than a day. Beneficial Breath says, not the arsehole. They will never see your child without supervision again. The problem is not the patch in and of itself, while it's still totally BS. The problem is that your daughter was sick. And rather than following your instructions on how to take care of her, they chose to use their own BS method. They are rejecting your parental authority unfairly, breaking your trust, and are now surprised that there is consequence. They are the same kind of grandparent that are told of nut allergies, but still give peanut butter to their grandchildren because, oh, it's not that serious. And go all surprised Pikachu face when parents need to go to the ER because of the allergy reaction after the visit. The coconut oil story always flashes in my mind when I think of grandparents being told about and willfully ignoring a deadly allergy. Quote, they are rejecting your parental authority unfairly. This right here is what it all boils down to. OP and his wife are doing what's best for their child, just like they are supposed to. Cat52000 says, I disagree with downgrading this to, it's probably just a sticker. My daughter is allergic to the adhesive in bandages. A frickin' Band-Aid gives my kids skin rashes. Maybe the patch is a placebo. Maybe it has some weird plant from the rainforest. Maybe it's a colored sticker that can cause an allergic reaction. You don't know, and the infant isn't the person to test this out on. Not the arsehole. Completely agree. They just went against what you told them to do. They deserve to feel the consequences of their actions. You can kind of just generally run the numbers on a situation like this. Would you trust the grandparents if it wasn't something like this patch? If it was essential oils or something of that nature which the kid would breathe in or they tried to feed to the child? What if it was the coconut oil story? You know, this patch does seem a bit harmless, but at the end of the day, it's about what these people are standing for, which is pseudoscience and not caring about the general health and well-being of your child because their own stupid, dangerous, and misinformed ideas go front and center before your wishes and your medication that you know won't kill your child. So I don't think that you're the asshole here for not allowing them to see your daughter anymore. Who knows what other rabbit hole these people could go down and seriously injure your child? Do you really want to take that risk? Because I know I wouldn't. And now, on to the updates. About a month ago, I made this post ranting about my in-laws' weird obsession with a, for lack of a better term, cult regarding stem cell regeneration through patches, which clearly isn't a real thing. There's been some development on that end, and while I'm confident things will likely end here, I wanted to give a quick update for those who may have been curious. I'm writing this on the toilet at work, so don't mind the rushiness of it all. After my wife essentially cut ties with them, and we received a million phone calls and text messages from family and friends, things quieted down for about a week or two. We started having my sister watch our daughter instead when we had to go to work. We haven't had another out-of-town trip since the initial post, however. Through those couple of weeks, we never really heard anything beyond a couple of supposed shit-talking posts on Facebook, bitching about us, but I can't seem to find the posts. We thought things were probably, hopefully, going to end there, but boy, were we wrong. And this is quite the jump from the last post. My wife and I were visited by CPS about 2 weeks ago or so, after they received concerning calls about supposed child abuse and negligence within the household. Of course, nothing like that happened, and the caseworker was very quick to see that. We had asked who reported her, and while she couldn't say, we had a suspicion that it was from her parents. We were completely helpful and cooperative with the caseworker, and after she left that night, my wife called her mum up and asked her if she's the one who called CPS. Surprisingly, her mother took full accountability, but, not so surprisingly, tried to spin it around in her favor, claiming that she did it for our own good because our daughter was sick and she wasn't getting any better when she was there. So clearly, we were doing something awful as parents. Kids get sick. It happens. But they are also extreme anti-vaxxers. Not just COVID, I mean everything, from even as something as trivial as the flu shot. Yet they're willing to shell out thousands of dollars for some supposed stem cell regeneration sticker. The effing hypocrisy and irony in their bullshit is unmatched. My wife didn't really know how to react to that, so she basically told her mum to go F herself and that she wants nothing to do with her again. I know I said a few comments on the last post saying maybe we shouldn't have cut them out entirely, but now I'm starting to question why we didn't cut them out years ago before our daughter was even a thought in our heads. About a week after the first audit, my mother-in-law showed up to our house on my day off while my wife was at work and essentially demanded to see our daughter, forcing her way into our home by pushing past my arm. When I told her to get the hell out of my house and that she had no business marching in here like that, she essentially told me that I'm unfit to be a parent because I'm depriving my daughter of the help that she desperately needed because she's clearly a very sick child. My daughter is perfectly healthy right now, and in fact, has had no stuffy nose and no high temperature. Nothing. I told my mother-in-law straight up that she was batshit insane. I went off on her about how she lied to us, went against our wishes, had the audacity to call and lie to CPS, and then show up at our house unannounced, uninvited, and march herself inside, as well as everything about her X39 LifeWave bullshit. We argued there for a while, before I finally got so fed up, I told her to leave my house before I call the police. She stormed out of the house, and in true Karen fashion said, "This isn't over," before slamming my door. I immediately called my wife, who was of course irate. The following morning, we filed a restraining order at the courthouse from her mum and dad, because they are clearly not in their right mindset. The caseworker has to audit us a few more times as per their guidelines over the past 2 weeks, and yesterday was her last day, where she informed us that we're doing good and that she's sorry for the trouble they caused. We kept her up to speed on the LifeWave shit, the showing up unannounced, and the restraining order, and though she couldn't really take a side, she seemed apologetic. But my wife and I are pretty livid. We started looking at houses in another state to get as far away from her in-laws as possible. Our company has offices out there, so it's entirely possible that we could just be transferred, so we're crossing our fingers that all goes well. The restraining order gets filed soon enough, and we'll get a place clear across the country so that this will hopefully be my last update. In the comments, Janet in Spain says, "Moving far away sounds like an excellent idea at this point. I would not push it past her mother to try kidnapping your daughter. She seems quite insane enough to do that. Thank you for the update. Please do update again if you get a chance to move far, far away. And don't give the new location info to anyone who might tell any of the Crazy Pants family, or they'll probably call CPS in the new state." Next update, nutty in-laws attempt to file grandparents' rights lawsuit. Also, change the locks on when you move. If she's crazy enough to do what she's already done, she's crazy enough to try and pick the lock. Wow, that took a turn. Good for you and your wife, and that CPS worker sounds nice. I wish there were criminal charges for baseless complaints like this. There's probably a law that would allow it somewhere, but at least that process being over is good. Some states are finally jumping on board with charges against baseless claims as being harassment and filing false reports, wasting state resources. The problem is CPS reporting allows for anonymity, so it can be hard to prove unless the reporting individual is dumb enough to give their full information. Ooh, that commenter questioning sending infant medication pissed me off. We never travel with our 18-month-old without infant Tylenol and Motrin. My parents, the only ones who watch him overnight, also have a stash. What a dickish thing to say. Also, people questioning that it was so suspicious that she got sick. Like, have they ever met a person under the age of 2? It's like their job. They are sick 40 hours a week trying to put in overtime. Ridiculous. And the moron questioning why they left when their child was sick. It was for work. Sometimes we don't have a choice. Reddit is always, just quit. Real life doesn't work that way. Opie even says that the baby wasn't even sick when they left. He and his wife left a perfectly healthy baby with her grandparents and then came back to a sick baby. The lack of reading comprehension and just general comprehension of reality was impressive in the comments. I don't have kids, but friends do, and I am very, very aware that kids are sick all the effing time. It's one of the most known things about having kids. They get sick all the time. Yeah, those comments included were so infuriating. This isn't an attack on you, OP, but clearly these idiots have never seen kids before. This is like going, so you deliberately left your kid with someone else with a shitty diaper because you packed extra diapers? Gotcha! Like, no? Kids get sick literally out of the blue. You prepare for as many eventualities as you can. I bet that if OP hadn't packed medication, the comments would be scolding him for lack of preparation and saying, well, what did you expect them to do when you left a kid without medication? They used what they had. If you want a specific medication, you should have packed it. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.